You're listening to the 12 Days of Crusademas 2024, brought to you by the Longbox Crusade.
Three puppet slaying.
Hello, and welcome to the third day of the 12 Days of Crusademas for 2024, brought to you by the Longbox Crusade. The 12 Days of Crusademas is our gift to the podcast community to celebrate the holiday season. And we're celebrating this joyous season by sharing with you some comic book titles that may have gotten by you in the past. Each day of the 12 Days of Crusademas will bring you a hidden gem of a comic series, brought to you by either one of our Holly Jolly co-hosts or one of our podcast celebrity guests, until we get all the way to December 25th, that joyous Christmas day. I am your host for this third day of Crusademas, Delvin Williams, The Dark Web. And here are the three Mariah Carey songs that are joining me for today's rapping. First up, we have the founder of Longbox Crusade, Pat Sampson, All I Want for Christmas, Christados. Pat.
Merry Christmas to you, Delvin.
Oh, dude, just like Mariah. I was looking at you. If I wouldn't have, I would have thought I would have been seeing like a curvy woman about my age. Yeah,
we had the same vocal coach, so
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. You know, like she may have gone a little bit longer than you, but I can tell that you had the same coach.
Yeah, I didn't need to go that long. I was pro naturally, but I decided I needed to raise a family, and life took me down different roads, and here I am today.
Noble
podcasting with you guys, and I love it. I didn't want nothing of it. Yeah,
that's right. That's
right.
So, is there anything else that you like to add, Pat? I'm just certain that there is.
There normally is, Delvin, believe it or not, but I've been getting stuff ready for decorations and all that, getting everything prepared to be put outside. Mary Jane has really been on me, so I had some stories to go, but I just didn't get it in on time because I was outside prepping the lawn and all that for the decorations. So I don't have anything at this moment, but maybe I might come up with something and put it at the end of the show just to make sure I get something going on.
I missed it. I said I missed that. Like I look forward to Pat GPT or whatever that you have.
Yeah. You know what? What I'll do is, as we're putting out the decorations outside, I'll play it on the speakers outside. Because I'm gonna do this big music show now with the lights and the flash to the music.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'll kind of have it flashing to my story.
Okay, got it. You do that. I am going to move on to talk to Jared Albrecht. Some know him as the yard sale artist. Some know him this time of year as the Christmas probe. I'm referring to him as Oh Holy Night Albrecht. Welcome to the show, Jared.
Oh man, everything's so bright and shining. I love it. And in the spirit of the holiday season, I've come with an early gift for Pat. We pick on Pat and his mispronunciation of words a lot, so I decided to get him some lessons on some more challenging words, because Pat had a real challenge recently. He was having a hard time discerning between two similar sounding words, which were jacuzzi and yakuza. And now he's found himself in some hot water with the Japanese mob.
That I did, Jared. That I did.
Everybody.
The amount of loathing that I have for myself for laughing at that is my goodness. I saw the setup coming. I saw it.
I was trying to say those words and it just kept splashing around.
Oh boy. We just
Pat's gonna have to cut his pinky off.
To our guests that we have, and I prepped our guests already that there were jokes that were going to be coming, and I didn't disappoint. Before I get to him, though, we are missing our brother-in-arms, Jason Albrecht, for this time around, but that's okay. I'm not sure what happened to him. I don't know if he got stuck up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure whether he went chasing the ghost of Sean Connery or whatnot, but I'm certain he'll be back for the next episode.
Imagine he's outside doing decorations, right? Isn't that?
You know how hard Mary Jane is. and she's always on Jason's case, right?
You mentioned that she was all over people before. She's normally all over. You know what? I'm just,
Just
not
let it go.
good. I will let it go. But who I won't let go though is the guest that we have joining us today around the fireplace. He's a writer. He's a publisher. He's a podcaster. His name is Michael Gordon. Welcome to the show, Mike, and thanks for joining us for day 3.
Howdy. Thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And I have one more question. I see that you brought something there with you. It's gift wrapping that stocking. You mind telling us what that is?
I have, as you heard in the, does it really count as singing?
You kind of did. You didn't just talk it out. There was a little bit of, up and down, vibrato.
Sort of that Shatner spoken word, right? Like that's what I was going for, right? The Shatner spoken word, right?
Merry Christmas.
So in the intro, we'll just call it an intro. Today, the 3 puppet slaying, which means we're unwrapping Pinocchio the Vampire Slayer versus the Vampire Zoo from Top Shelf Comic. Those of you who are not familiar with this comic, Pinocchio Vampire Slayer series began in 2009 from Top Shelf. Writer Van Jensen has gone on to write for DC, Flash, Green Lantern, other books. He's also done Dynamite Comics, James Bond, nice hardcovers, adaptations of the Ian Fleming novels. He's worked with other publishers as well. He's got a novel, his first novel, that was released last year, Godfall, has been optioned by Ron Howard, no less. So he's doing all right for himself. Artist Dusty Higgins also worked on Pinocchio the Vampire Slayer. He's worked on other projects as well, such as Night of the Living Dead. That's Night with a K. Knigget, if you're a Monty Python fan. The original 4-volume series of Pinocchio Vampire Slayer ended in 2014. There have been talks of an animated series. In this twist on a classic tale, when bloodthirsty monsters invade Pinocchio's hometown and kill his father Geppetto, Pinocchio discovers a new benefit to his magical nose. Telling lies produces a never-ending supply of wooden stakes to combat the vampire hordes. Pinocchio soon discovers his lost brothers and sisters in the Great Puppet Theater, then confront the terrifying origin uniting both puppets and vampires in the conclusion of the series, The Children of Wood and Blood. I don't know how familiar you guys are with this, and we'll get to that in a minute, but one of the reasons that I love this series and it attracted me right off the beginning is I like the story of Pinocchio. I grew up with all the Disney films, all of the classics. I don't think I'd ever read the original story of, the original, I think it's from the 1800s, by Carlo Collito, I believe is his name. I might be mispronouncing that. But in any case, I don't think I've read the actual original story. But I've seen the Disney version, and I know the Disney version has some dark elements to it. When I was a kid, when I first saw it, there was a lot of elements that freaked me out. And so come to find out, the original story of that is pretty creepy as well, much like the Grimm fairy tales that you hear about. The original Pinocchio is pretty bizarre and pretty violent and pretty weird. So, and I think some adaptations, especially some recent adaptations, the Guillermo del Toro version that came out with Netflix last year, I think was pretty creepy and was very much more in tune with the original story than the Disney version. But I like the story. I think it's a cool story. I think it's got some cool elements to it. I'm a big fan of vampires and vampire slayers. A little bit before this time is when Buffy the Vampire Slayer came out. So obviously that's an influence on this book. These mashups are things that I really, really love, especially when they're done well. So that attracted me, and I just love this series a lot. Let me ask you guys, I guess let's get started, and we can start with you, Pat. Like, had you ever heard of this book before?
No, I have not ever heard of this book. It was very weird, and I was kind of wondering what was it going to be about. So, yeah, interesting pick.
Thank you. Delvin?
No, Mike, before you brought it to us, I had never heard of it before.
Gotcha. And Jared, how about you? Am I up for three strikes?
I guess so. I was unfamiliar with Pinocchio Vampire Slayer. I had heard of Van Jensen because of the James Bond stuff, but that's as close as I got.
Gotcha. He did such great work. It's unfortunate that didn't continue. I think they did 2 books.
2 of them, yeah. I think Casino and Live and Let Die. I want to say.
Yeah. And so I don't know if they'll ever get back to those or not, but those were really well done and very different in tone and everything. This is very different. For this particular issue, the story takes place sometime in the events of book 2 of the 4-volume series. So basically, in the story here, without giving away too many spoilers, Pinocchio and his band of slayers, which are puppets, sentient puppets mostly, they're battling the undead across Italy. They come across a zoo, decide to take a break from all that hunting they've been doing, all that hunting and slaying. But the animals of this zoo have been infected by the vampiric curse. The gang has to fight its way through hyenas, bats, and one damn mean vampire gorilla to survive. Let me start, I guess, again with you, Pat. What did you think? Did you feel lost kind of jumping into this one issue?
You know, I thought I was going to be, just because I knew nothing of this whole characters and what it was all about. But even the little brief introduction that they do at the beginning was very helpful to help you kind of understand. And as you went along, they kind of told you a little bit about some of the characters as they were introduced or talked about during this. So yeah, I think as the story went on, I fell more into place with it and like, okay, this is just who they are. They're a bunch of slaying puppets. I guess this seemed to be the word that they kept using for them. And it was pretty cool. I really started to enjoy the artwork in here. I think if it would have been in color, I don't know if that would help it. The color in the cover makes it splash, but I think reading through, I think it was better to see it in black and white like this. And the panel layouts and just the detail that was all being done was really cool. There were a few parts where I wasn't sure. I'm like, well, how are they killing people? But then towards the end, I got to understand, oh, he says something and then he breaks his nose off or something.
Yeah.
And then they use it to just start, to start stabbing people and all that. I'm like, oh, okay. And they say it in the beginning a little bit, but they actually kind of show it better in some of the art that's going on. And yeah, I thought it was a very fun issue, and just the layout and the fun that they had. I liked that big mini map that they had. It was like a Candyland game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I had to study that one for a little while. I was like, oh man, this is a Candyland. And then they had little parts around it. The quick battle says, like, oh man, this is going to be a long book if they got to battle all their way through this thing. But it wasn't. It was good. I really would like to know a little bit more of how this all came about.
That's awesome. That's some of the best. That's one of the best compliments right there. Delvin, what about you? What did you think?
I thought a lot of things. I was like, what does this remind me of? That was the thought. Like, this reminds me of something. And I settled on Fables, and I was like,
I could see.
And I'm like, yeah, ish, but it didn't quite cover it. Like, there were some Fables, there were some early Deadpool, and like the kind of slapstick humor. There were some anime features in it, like maybe the black and white, sort of how it was drawn too. So it was like this interesting mixture of styles that were going on. It was a light read, as light as vampire, the zoo animals, fighting puppets can get. But it was a light read. I didn't need to have a huge backstory in it because that's kind of a built-in advantage when you're doing a story with a character that people already know. I mean, I already knew Pinocchio, and then, that's an added little tick, that like if he lies, then, he can grow like steaks to help kill vampires. Like a Crusademas equivalent of that would be like me and Jared, like saying, to Pat that, hey, we're totally going to help you out, like with decorations this year.
I fully intend to help him.
See? So if Jared said that, like his nose would grow twice and then he snaps it off and then like he can kill vampires. So that's how it would go. So it was a great setup. I understood it. There was one more thing it reminded me of because Pat and I just recently covered this on Transformers Chronicles. It reminded me of Transformers issue 44. And in Transformers issue 44, they had just resurrected Optimus Prime and they were returning back to Earth, but they were sidetracked by this cosmic carnival. And so, like, go check out Transformers Chronicles 44. But sure enough, it's like we have a mission to do. But it's like we're sort of like we're literally tired of fighting. All we do is fight. And so they wound up getting diverted and went to this carnival instead. So there are a lot of different elements that I saw in there, and it made for a likable story. And it was easy enough to understand, even in a one-shot, what was going on. And so the only question that I would have had at the end of it is like, were they successful? Did they, eventually kill all the vampires? And at least there was a cure to the vampirism. I like that too, because one of the things that bothers me about like stories like zombie stories or whatever, you can never turn them back. And so it just winds up not really even being about zombies, but like an allegory about humankind or something. Okay, cool. Like I actually like that there's a cure because it makes it seem like there could be a logical end to the storyline. So I like that too. So lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Jared, what about you? What were your thoughts?
Well, I didn't read it, but it sounds interesting.
I hope your nose is growing.
No, pretty much echo the fellas. It was a neat balance of the story that we're kind of all familiar with, darker but lighter, like done in a darker vampire hunting form, but it had so much fun to it. It had a lot of humor. Pat brought up the double splash page board game, which I think you can actually play the board game on that. I think it actually works. And a great art style, just a real unique thing to take something like vampires and mix it with a classic tale like Pinocchio or maybe a werewolf and mix it with historical fiction like Hamilton versus Burr. That all sounds very clever to me. But going back to the book that I did not read, it was brisk, it was fun, it was funny. I didn't really have too hard of a time catching up. I know you kind of put us in the middle, but peek behind the scenes, folks, when we have guests, oftentimes we tell them sometimes middle's best, because you're trying to sell a whole series here at Crusademas, and issue 1's not always the best one. This one was full tilt action, adventure, problem solving. The competition between him and the other puppet was very entertaining. I can't remember the other guy's name, but they clearly had a rivalry kind of going, and it was fun. So yeah, I fully enjoyed. Good art. Pat mentioned great layouts. Just something I'm glad that you brought, because I don't know that I would have discovered it any other way.
It was very influential for me reading this, because at the time I was just starting to get into comics as a creator. I had a few things that I was worked on and had written, but my first real full book that I was doing, that I was committed to do for myself, was a book called Tiki Zombie. And this was, around 2010 or so. And it seemed like Van and Dusty and myself and Peter, who's the artist on Tiki Zombie, had a lot of similar sensibilities. I like the mashup. I like the mashing up of different things like Tiki and Zombie. Or it just so happens in my first issue of Tiki Zombie, they fight a vampiric ape, a baboon. So there were a lot of similarities there, some unintentional. And I also love the tone of it, where it's obviously exaggerated, played for not laughs, but it feels really light, but it's also at times got depth to it. So I'm kind of curious about your interest in the entire series as a whole, whether you'd like to check out all the rest of the volumes using the official Crusademas candy cane scale, which is on a scale of 1 to 12 candy canes, 12 being extremely interested and 1 being no interest at all. How many candy canes would you rate your interest in pursuing more issues of Pinocchio Vampire Slayer? And we'll start with you, Pat.
Well, Mike, I have a scale that I've been using all this long time here. It's a humor, heart, spectacle, and art.
Very clever.
Yeah, it is. And so I'd like to think that more and more other team members on the LBC crew use that all the time. But it started with me, because that's how things go. But I would say on the humor side, this definitely had humor in it. And I was laughing at different bits and pieces. And even in the artwork, it made you laugh sometimes too. It was fun to just kind of read through this. Like you said, lighthearted, but a little dark, lighthearted comedy is really good. I like that. I like that in movies. Like Heathers is a funny one. The dark comedy is a good one too. But anyway, high on the humor. Art, I mentioned, very good. Spectacle, There's a lot of action scenes in it as well, too. So I'm at a 9 on these. But what I also like is that you providing more information about it, because I did have questions on what this team was from, where are they going, how many issues were there for it and all that. And so that's what I really like about this, because we get to hear that from you and guests that have brought it. So your enthusiasm for it makes me bump it up to a 10. So 10 candy canes from me.
10
and if I can find them out there, and I am definitely going to pull them.
Awesome. Devin, what about you?
Oh, the urge to give it 11 candy canes. I will give it 10 candy canes. Very original, very creative, very entertaining overall. And that's what I want, like in a Crusademas book, and that's what I would want in some new series. Like, this is the type of series that if you're going to your local comic book store, that your local comic book store dealer might be like, dude, try this. Like, if you're looking for something, palate cleanser, if you're tired of reading, Batman, beating up Joker for the 718th time, like, check this out. This might be a little bit refreshing to you. And if you got it and read it, you wouldn't be disappointed. And so that's where I am. I think 10 is a good score to land on.
10 is solid, man. I'm getting a sweet tooth here. Jared, what about you?
I'll give it 11. Honestly, before anybody weighed in, when I finished reading it, I said, this is a solid 10 out of 12. I like it a lot. This is something I would, like Pat said, if I see it out in the wild, I'm going to pull it. So yeah, I will join the fellas with a 10. You can sneak an 11 if you want. Mike, you can take an extra candy cane. I won't tell anybody. But I think it was a great choice. I just have to look back on our Crusademas past, and every once in a while we get some of these indie books, and they very, very rarely, I can't even really think of any big ones that have ever disappointed. And it's really great that you would bring something like that to bring to people's attention. And that's the whole point of Crusademas. So enjoy your 30, perhaps 31 candy canes on your way out.
Well, I'm thankful for that. I mean, it's I'm glad you guys enjoyed it a lot, because yeah, like you said, it is. And look, I mean, the independent scene is much almost like the main publisher scene. A lot of it's good, a lot of it's not good, or some of it's not good, some of it's really great, that kind of thing. It varies. And so it's hard to navigate. Especially on a book like this, where it's, goodness gracious, it's now, is it 10 years old? Wow. It finished up 10 years ago, which is like amazing to me to think. And now we better say goodbye before I feel even older. But I do appreciate you guys doing this and spotlighting books that a lot of people haven't heard of. I would also recommend just one last thing. If you're interested in this, looking for the back issues or whatever, I would grab these, because like I said, the writer Van Jensen just signed a mega deal for his novel with Ron Howard. So, I mean, all his stock is going to go up. So I imagine the collectability of these books is going to go up pretty soon as well. So just from a collector's standpoint, but I love it. It's an inspirational story to me. I love these guys. Van and Dusty both are great guys, very talented in what they do. So if I'm giving it some candy cane love, I mean, it's a 12 for me. So even if the story comes up short for me, the inspirational value and the creativity that they pulled on this, I mean, it's a 12 for me. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it.
Can't help but like making a little small joke there. Another way of putting, what he said about like how the book's coming up is, you've got potential. You've got potential. You've got potential.
I get it.
Oh boy. Okay. I couldn't help it. It was on the tip of my nose. Anyways, that will wrap up day 3 of the 12 Days of Crusademas. We'd love to hear from you if you're familiar with any of the comics we cover here on the show, or if you gave one of our recommendations a try, let us know what you think about it. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, at Longbox Crusade. We're there. Email, contact@longboxcrusade.com. Phone number 707-532-5269. That is 707-532-LBOX.
To pick up the phone.
Thank you. It's like, why am I waiting on this?
Because I saw Jared. He's like super. He wanted to really do it, so I thought he.
All right, we're good. And if you're loving Crusademas and didn't get a chance to listen last year, or just want to hear more Crusademas, if you scroll far enough back on our feed, or if you have a search engine, maybe look for episodes of Crusademas past. Started in 2017 and it's gone all the way to present day.
How can people get a hold of Tiki Zombie? Is it available on your website or what's the easiest way?
Thank you for asking that, Jared. I appreciate that. Yes, all my books that I produce are available at my website. TikiZombie.net is the easiest way to go. All the Tiki Zombie books are there. We've got a new book that by this time should be out and about and living life large. So I appreciate that. Yeah, just go to TikiZombie.net, or you can just go to NewLegendMike.com. I'm also available on all the social medias. Thanks for listening, everyone. Be sure to come back tomorrow to find out who or what the next gift is from under the tree here at the festively decorated Longbox Crusade Studios. Thanks again for having me, fellas. It's been my pleasure. I wish everybody out there a fan-tiki-tastic festive season. Until next time, DJ Cristados, play me a Christmas jam.
Wickedy, 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 whack.
How the new year lads and